Hello everybody, David Abram here. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're doing well. And for this video, and it's been a long time, I wanted to talk about a little bit of a concept that's thrown around a lot in today's world, and that is the concept of love. And I want to talk more about that from an empirical perspective, because when we think about the word love, a lot of the times, I don't think a lot of blue pill men in particular really think about the meaning of the word, or think about the word's context, because the word love, from an empirical point of view, which is using the five senses, doesn't actually exist. You can't touch love, you can't smell love, you can't hear love, you can't taste love, and you can't really see love. In fact, you can't see love. You can't use any of the five senses to actually identify love. Now, the reason I bring this up is because a lot of the times we throw around this word love as if it's physical, and you can see this all the time. If you look at television, if you look at movies, if you look in magazines, if you look in books and novels and comic books, I mean, you always hear about love continuously. Why did you marry this person? I did it for love. And the same goes for other words like romance and etc. But these words are a separate language, and I believe this from a MGTOW perspective. Words like love, romance, and any other one of these words of the latter are a language, and it's a language of spells, because these words are used to almost push the questions away. And when I say push questions away, I mean push away essential questions that would actually get a lot of men to think. Like, if you ask somebody, why do we have marriage? Why is marriage implemented? Why does the government implement marriage? And then they say, well, because marriage is supposed to be about love. First of all, number one, they didn't answer the question. See, these magical words, or spells, if you will, are actually designed not to answer the questions, but rather push the questions away, or sweep the questions under the rug and hope that you never actually have to look under the rug, or look under the surface. Because that's what a lot of these words do. This is why you'll notice with a lot of things like love, and romance, and even things like religion and deities, generally speaking, the parties that rely on deities as a reason to explain things, or rely on love and romance to explain things, usually have to use an insane amount of propaganda, and indoctrination of the young to actually convince everybody that these things have a relevance in the physical world. For example, take early childhood education when you were 5 or 6 years old, and you're told that you should stand up and pledge allegiance to the flag. I mean, what this really does is sort of perpetuate a cycle of propagandized indoctrination to a point where you don't ask, why am I saluting the flag? I'm saluting the flag because this is what I've really been doing. This is what I was told to do. But if you ask the real essential questions like, why am I saluting the flag? What purpose does saluting this flag serve? And how does this solution affect me? Me saluting the flag, what does it really do for me? I mean, you ask essential questions and you translate this to things like marriage and the gender dynamics like marriage. Why am I getting married? What's in it for me? But if somebody says love, and you go with the word love, and generally most blue pill men, being as blue pill as they are, run that phase, or they run that answer. Love is the answer. That's why you marry. Because you love somebody and you want to share your life with them. So that's why you marry. Now, sharing the life with them part maybe has some validation that you can see in the physical world, but you share your life with your friends without a government contract. You share your life with many of your acquaintances without government contract. You choose which clubs you want to associate without a government contract. So the one the argument of marriage is about sharing your life with somebody. Truthfully, you share your life with your parents without government contract. That is, once you grow up and if your parents are still involved in your life. I mean, did government say that? I don't really think so. When you go out to a bar with your friends or your acquaintances to have a beer and watch the Super Bowl, did a government contract tell you whom you had to share those moments with and who you could associate? No. So the whole argument of marriage is about sharing your life with somebody doesn't hold up, and neither does the one love, because love, as I've said, these are concepts of the mind. Love, romance, both of those words are concepts of the mind. You can see, you can neither touch, taste, see, hear, or smell any of them. But you'll see a lot of propaganda put out, and that's very, I think, important for a lot of men going their own way to catch note of. Because a part of MGTOW's value is truth. Because we value truth, we value reason, and I'm pretty sure most of us value rational thinking. And if you guys ever remember Star Trek with Spock, I mean, at some point, either it was Spock or Data, but one of them says that emotion isn't very rational. But I think I know why some may say that emotion isn't rational. Perhaps it isn't rational because there's really no way to evaluate emotion using empirical data. Now that doesn't mean that emotions don't occur, but emotions are concepts of the mind. Love is a concept of the mind, romance are a concept of the mind, and usually these words have to be propagandized to convince everybody that these things are in fact a reality, when in reality they're not part of the physical world. They don't exist in the physical reality as we know it. They're concepts of the mind, and if you really are that one of a spiritual individual, then you would say that they're non-physical, or they're not a part of the physical reality, but maybe they're part of a spiritual reality. But for the sake of knowing that the physical reality exists, love, I think we can conclude, doesn't exist. No matter how much women say, I love you, I mean, when you think about it, they may as well say, gee, I don't even know how to actually describe that. I mean, it's almost like, I think the best way I could really put this in the terms of marriage, when people say, I married because of love, they might as well say I married because God told me to. Because I think that would be relatively the equivalent of saying I married because of love. Because, number one, both are not part of the physical reality as we know it, meaning you can't use any of the 5 empirical senses to validate any one of them or their existence. And number 2, no matter how much you try, you can't really show either one of them. You can't show love. You can talk about love, you can express love, but you can't really show it. You can't, in other words, if I say to a woman, show me love, and they hug me, well then, I would just say that was just our physical bodies rubbing against each other, exchanging contact. Show me love, and then they show you a heart, and it has a drawing of a heart on it, and it's on a piece of paper. I will say that's a drawing of a heart, in the shape of a heart. Show me love. And then they show you a picture or a television show of 2 people in bed. I would say, well, no, there's just 2 people in bed undergoing sexual intercourse. Show me love. And truthfully, love is not part of the physical world as we know it. It's not part of the physical reality. It's a concept of the mind. You know? And I'm not saying that love is totally irrelevant, or that love has no meaning behind it. But I really, in this video, wanted to sort of point through and sort of eradicate all the propaganda surrounding love for men going their own way. Because a lot of the time when we hear sayings like, I want a woman to love me for me, and I'm pretty sure we hear a lot of this with blue pill men, the thing is, love is a pure concept of the mind. It doesn't exist in the physical reality. And so I think it's important for us MGTOW, or men going our own way, to sort of catch these words. Women use these words a lot, I think, especially women, and they use these words as a tool for emotional manipulation, and when they grab hold of this emotional manipulation, they use these words to emotionally charge their arguments, like, if you really love me, you'll marry me. And once you realize that love doesn't exist in the physical reality that you are in, then you sort of start to recognize this is manipulation. This is pure manipulation, and this is their way to emotionally charge all of their arguments, and a way to emotionally project themselves onto us. Because, truthfully, if you told them, or asked them, why am I doing this? What's in it for me? And they say love, all you really have to say is, well, don't you love me already? Because if you didn't love me already, what was the point to the mingles? What was the point to going out? What was the point of all this? And again, this is all hypothetical of a scenario. MGTOW is walking away from the rat race and the mating game, but hypothetically, just your average man in a relationship, if you were to really ask his significant other, you know, why should we get married? And she says out of love, the simplest way to rebut that would just be to put out the fact that if love wasn't there before, what was it? Because I invested, I delivered, and I put myself out there. But if that wasn't love, then what was it? But again, just thought I would sort of touch on this subject, because love is a word I've noticed a lot is tossed around like a toy. Romance, love, intimacy, these words are tossed around a lot, and as men going our own way, I think it's very important for us to be on guard. Love is not in the physical reality, it's a concept of the mind. David Abrams signing out. I know I was sort of all over the place in this one, but nonetheless, let me know what you guys think in the comment sections. What are your thoughts on love? I think love and romance and a lot of all of these words are spells, and they're spells that are thrown around as a means of propaganda and manipulation, mostly manipulation for men. Because I think if a lot of men had the real facts for marriage, even the blue pill men, I highly doubt, and I sincerely do doubt, that the vast majority of them would go through with it. But I just sort of wanted to highlight on this, so let me know what you guys think. If you have any resonating thoughts in the comment sections below, please do feel free to elaborate. Please subscribe, and until the next time, gentlemen, thanks for watching.